Hey guys, Maxwell Murphy here, Penguin Magic co-founder, performer, speaker, lover of life. I'm excited to be here with you today because we're talking about creating value. We sell a ton of different items on Penguin. This course is not for sale. We want you to have it for free because this course is all about getting your money's worth out of everything else that we sell at Penguin.
Hey guys, Jay Noblezada here, and I want to let you know about somebody that's been a big influence in my life. When I first started performing professional magic, I was thrust into the restaurant magic industry, and I remember finding out about this restaurant in town called Dave & Buster's in San Diego, and everyone said, well, the only way you can work this restaurant, I mean, it was the hottest restaurant in town, the only way you can work this restaurant is if you go through this agency, and his name's Brian Campbell. So I called the number, talked to the guy. He told me to drive up to LA to meet him. I thought he was crazy, but I thought, you know what, this is what I want to do. So I drove all the way up to LA, met this guy. He pointed to two blondes at the bar and he said, perform for them right now, I want to see what you got. And I did Sponge Rabbits, and he was impressed by my professionalism and my choice of material because it was just a trick that worked, and it fried them, and they were having fun. So to make a long story short, I met this guy, Brian Campbell. Not only did he help me get my first corporate gigs, and just had so much insight when it came to business and magic because he has so much experience. Just along the way, just gave me so many cool tips, tricks, and someone that's been doing magic for years, you know. And this is the type of person that I'm proud to introduce to you, and I hope you take the time to listen to him, even if you get one shred of information that you think is going to help you, take it and take it all the way. And I promise you, you're going to learn so much from this guy. So Brian Campbell, guys, have fun, and I'll see you soon.
Greetings, Penguin Magic. This is Brian Campbell, the Magic Guy, and I'm here to start our new series on the tips and techniques of how to get magic gigs, keep them, and keep your clients happy. Stick with us for the next few weeks, and you'll follow along and find out how to make gigs happen, how to find new clients, how to secure gigs, how to ask for the money, and how to make your business grow. My job is to try to help you with that. Just a little bit about me. I've been doing magic for well over 30 years now, full-time for the past 20. My clients include everybody from Cisco to Microsoft, Johnson & Johnson, Pepsi, Frito-Lay, the Anaheim Angels, you name it. I've worked for about 80% of the corporate clients in the world, the Fortune 500 companies, I should say. Most of my business comes from trade shows and corporate events, but I've worked everything from private parties to children's events in my time, to restaurant magic for many years. I was with Dave & Buster's chain for over 5 years. I've had over 40 to 50 magicians work for me at one time in my life. So you name it, I've done it every aspect of magic there is. You might have recently seen me on the Tyra Banks show. I've also done events, I've produced magicians, and I've also trained hypnotists worldwide. Recently, I trained the world's fastest female hypnotist who had a running career for many years. Casino shows all over the country, so I've done just about everything. I hope my advice will help you. We're going to call this series the Big B and Small S. That's right, the business to show business. And what I mean by the big B and small S is it takes a lot of business, the big B, to get a little bit of show. You have to take a lot of business. 90% of your work is going to require of you actually getting magic gigs. It's going to actually find you getting out there, meeting people, greeting people, getting your promotion material out, showing magic to friends, showing magic to clients before you ever start doing your show. You may do a 1-hour show, but spend weeks getting set up for that. So this series is going to be covering a lot of that information, how to get that business, how to keep it, how to keep your clients happy.
If people hire a magician and they have a great experience, they're a heck of a lot more likely to hire a magician again. So we all benefit when magicians are out there being true professionals, making sure that their clients are receiving the value that they pay for. So here it is. It's a free course. We're going to break it up into a lot of different segments. You can skip around or you can watch them all straight through. Either way, thanks for coming to Penguin Magic. Thanks for being a Penguin. Thanks for being born to perform.
As a show person or show business person, it's a 24-hour day job. Magic is a 24-hour day job. What I mean to that is you're not working like a fireman 24 hours a day. Unlike any other career, if you're a plumber, for example, and you go to a party and someone says you're a plumber, then they'll go, well, that's great. They may mention that you have their pipes are broken up in their house, or they freeze during the winter. It depends on where you live in the country. But when you say you're a magician, the first thing out of their mouth, the first thing they're going to say to you is, show me a trick. It's one of the few aspects of life that people always want to see what you do. Now, when I hired magicians, every magician who ever worked for me, from some of the greats, Jane Obazada, for example, worked for me. You might have seen Penguin Magic here. Gregory Wilson, one of the greats of magic, worked for me for many years, worked with me. Curtis Cam, well-known magician. I've worked with many top magicians throughout the United States. And one of my key things I would have these magicians know is that anytime anybody asks you to do a trick and you're out and about, you should be able to perform magic. That doesn't mean reach in your pocket, pull out cards. That means if you're in your bathing suit, you should be able to do something. You should always have something with you, whether it's impromptu, rubber, crazy man's handcuffs, rubber bands, a thumb tip, for example, with a bill switch, which are all carried through Penguin Magic, by the way. It could be anything on that level, because a real magician is just that, someone who could do magic. Someone who just reaches into a box and says, oh, wait a second, I don't have my stuff with me, is just what they are. They're a person who does tricks. They're a trick maker. If you want to be perceived as a magician, you have to have the mindset that you're a magician. That means wherever you go, you think that you're a magician all the time. You're constantly selling your act, your persona, and your person. You have to think yourself as a magician all the time, 24 hours a day. So when someone sees you out somewhere and they says, can you show my friend a trick? Sure, you don't have to show a 10-minute series of magic to them, but do something, because it's your best advertisement. For them to see you face to face, people remember you. Now, I have expressions in my life I tell people all the time. Some people like me, some people don't, but everybody I meet is going to remember who I am. And I've done magic personally for over 1 million people. That's 1 million people plus, face to face. Not talking television, and I'm not talking about any other thing. I'm talking about interacting one-on-one, face-to-face with groups of people, over 1 million people. That's a lot of people. If you think about how many people you live, the average person knows about 250 people on average. That's a lot of people. So what I mean is that you want to make sure you get face-to-face with everybody you can to make your magic career happen. A positive attitude gets you everywhere. Now, if I asked you personally, face-to-face, list 5 adjectives that describe someone successful, you'd say things like motivated, assertive, courageous, driven, something like that. Now, if I asked you of those attitudes, how many teach you in college, or how many of those traits do they teach you in college, or how many attitudes? They're all attitudes. When you go for a job or you go for an interview, people don't hire you because of your knowledge or how you look on a resume. They hire you because they like your attitude. I like that person. He really makes me feel comfortable. You have to have a positive attitude about yourself. A positive attitude will get you everything you want. It'll get you the job you want, the career you want, the new raise you want. It'll get you the girl you like, the guy you like. It'll get you anything you want if you have a positive attitude about yourself and about what you do. What should you look like? Well, your clothing doesn't really matter so much as long as it's clean. Clean, I mean clean. I don't want to see stains on your shirt or your tie or your pants. No ripped pants and something like that. This is my personal opinion. Now, again, you do whatever you want that makes sales for you, but my personal opinion from working with many events over the years, and I'm talking thousands of events, corporate events all over the world, from Cabo San Lucas to Seattle, from Cape Cod to Hawaii. I've covered events everywhere and worked every type of thing from biker bars to, I was a magician for the Anaheim Angels for 3 years doing the major suites and opened the Staples Center. Your presence and your appearance is key. You want to make sure your nails are clean. They're trimmed, they're clean. If you're a smoker, try not to smoke before you do an event because people can smell it on you. Okay, no offense to you smokers, but if you're a non-smoker, don't start smoking. That's my personal opinion, because people can smell it on you. They can smell it on you when you're doing the events, and some people it turns it on. Turns them off, I should say. Secondly, make sure your teeth are always brushed. You want to make sure that you have some mints with you, some gum, so your breath smells good. Remember, you're speaking with people. You're a public speaker. No matter what you do, you're public speaking. This is a new career for you, a new job opportunity for you. You're a public speaker. You're speaking about your product, your magic, yourself. You may be speaking about a client's product down the road here, but you're speaking all the time. Now, I'm a gruff speaker, as you can obviously tell. I'm not the most eloquent person. but I am my own person. So you have to be comfortable in your own persona. If you have a lisp or you have a slur or you're a southern accent, don't worry about it. You'll feel comfortable in your own way. Stay that way. Don't change for anybody. Be who you are. People will like you just for that way. Remember, you're selling a product all the time. That product is one thing only, you. People see you, and it's a first impression. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. They want to make sure that you're the person they're going to want to see and stand in front of for the next 10 or 15 minutes or an hour, however long your show is going to be. So let's make sure we talk about that and we stay on that. Make sure you're clean, your shoes are shined or cleaned, or if you're wearing whatever shoes you are, not dirty sneakers, make sure you're clean like that. Also, your materials, your cards, your sponge balls, your, which by the way, sponge balls are carried, all the cards and everything you need are carried right here at Penguin Magic. If they happen to run out or get rough or tattered, get rid of them. You can, even if they're broken in, you can get new cards because people see the dirt on those cards. You may not see it because you've used the cards a lot. Get rid of them and get a new set of cards. You know, if the sponge balls get dirty, if you can't wash them, talk to Penguin Magic and buy yourself a new set. Because people see that, and if they see that and they think those are dirty, they're going to think you're dirty, and they don't want to touch dirty things. It's just that simple. So make sure you keep your items clean, your persona clean, and also your language clean if you're doing a show, okay? Now, I personally am a little off color when it's some things I do, but I'm also an older person. I can get away with that, okay? If you're working certain events and certain environments, that may be true. But you don't want to pigeonhole yourself as a person who can get away, who speaks that way. So make sure you keep everything clean. Think of your clothes, your shoes, your materials, your magic, everything clean, and you'll work 100% of the times. Matter of fact, Peter Ravine, the famous Peter Ravine, who's known as the Amazing Ravine, Lance Burton's manager, once told me that if you work 100% of the places clean, you work 100% of all the places. So it's a pretty good tip to keep with you. If you work all the places clean, you'll work 100% of all the places. So keep that in mind when you're setting up your gig. I know you want to go in there and sometimes want to be comical and be off color, but then you pigeonhole yourself as where you want to work. So keep that in mind. Do you believe you're a magician? Give me a moment to think about it. If you believe you're a magician, then they're going to believe you're a magician. And what does that mean? Can you really make things vanish? Well, if you can make things vanish, to me, magic is one simple thing, and I'll explain it to you real quickly. Magic's not what happens in the person's hands. It happens within their mind, okay? If you take a person who's 50 years old or 40 years old, and you do a magic effect for them, say you do cups and balls, or you do a chopped cup or a cut and restored rope, and that person's mystified by what you do, and they're amazed, and you turn that person into a 9-year-old person again, and their attitude changes, and for that one moment, you've made them suspended their belief systems, and they become a believer of magic for that one moment, then you've done magic. That's when the magic happens, when that person actually becomes a believer, for just that one moment. And you see that little smile on their face, they become a childlike again. That's the magic. Not the flourish, not copying the cards, not doing a Tenkai pass, not doing a classic palm. It's when that person looks at you and goes, how'd you do that? That's where the magic happens, okay? If you can do that, and you know you can do that in your mind's eye, and you know you've done that for some people before, then you know you're doing magic. If you can do that, then you're all on the road, and you're doing the right thing. When you want to get your first gig, think about what kind of market you want to work at. Now, when I say market, I don't mean the supermarket, but that could be your first gig, doesn't matter. I mean the people you want to work in front of. If you want to do magic for a group of schoolgirls, then that's your marketplace. If you want to do magic for a corporate client, that's your marketplace. If you want to do magic for schools, that's your marketplace. You want to do magic for Christmas parties, that's your marketplace. Focus on what your marketplace is. Once you know your marketplace, you'll know what type of materials you want to send them and how to design that around that, okay? The key is to find out what type of magic you want to do. If you want to be a kid show magician, then you need to work your kid show magic together and build an act like that. Now, how do you build an act? Simple. And I'm going to recommend this. This is the best way to do this. You won't find this anywhere. Trust me. I've taught this to a lot of magicians over the years, a lot of performers. Take Post-it notes. Here's a little yellow Post-it notes. And take every trick that you own. Write down each trick. Now on that, you want to write if the trick's an opener. What I mean by an opener is one of the tricks you're going to do right away to get people's attention, something that really gets their attention, a real wower. Is an opener something to make an appearance or a flash type of thing that gets their attention? Then you're going to write the trick, how long it takes to do the trick. Maybe a minute, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, whatever. Write that down. Put that Post-it note on the big board. Then you want to write another trick. What other trick you have? Is it a filler? That means it's one of the tricks that you do in the middle of an act. You do it in the middle of a show to kind of keep the show going. Put that down. And then you find out which tricks are your closers, the ones that people are going to remember, the ones that really hit them hard. So now you have 3 categories. Now when you're ready to do a show, you decide, well, let's see, I've got 100 of these notes. 15 of them are openers. I've got 20 of the fillers. I've got another 30 or 40 that are basically my closers. So I need 15 minutes to do my act. That's how long I have. Now I'm going to look and say, well, I'm doing a certain party. I'll pick out the best ones for that, and I'll tape them together, and I'll make a whole show out of that. It's kind of like making like a little movie screen, all these little effects. From that, you take the materials, place them on your table in front of you, put them all out, and run through the routines over and over again. The best way to do it is in front of a camera, a mirror, or in front of a live friends or audience. Someone very critical that'll tell you that they can see what you're doing or catch your mistakes and so on like that. That's the best way to start working in your act, first of all. Make sure you have a nice little tight act, worked on it. Again, performing in front of live people is the best way to do it because you know how they're going to laugh, how they're going to react. Get your timing down. Timing is very important in an act. So you have to get that. But the only way you get timing is to get in front of live people. You're not going to get it at the end of the way. You can try it all you want in front of a camera, but it's never going to happen. You have to get in front of live people. Securing your first gig is as simple as going up and asking for it. Ask equals get. If you want a show at a school, then go to your school. Talk to the people and say, I'm doing magic. I'm starting to make a living doing magic. I'm starting my career in magic. I'd like to do a show for the school. And they may ask, well, we don't have a budget for it. Or how much would you charge? We're going to get back to negotiating the prices in our next couple series down here, but we'll get to that. But I wanted to cover, just make sure you go out and ask for these gigs. If you want to do a private party for someone, say, listen, I understand you're having a party, you're having a Christmas party, you're having a barbecue this weekend. Do you know I do magic? I'd like to come out and do some magic for you guys. I charge a small fee or I charge a large fee, whatever you want to ask them or tell them, but ask for the gig. If you want it, ask for it. The key thing about business cards, and you can have a business card if you're 7 years old or if you're 70 years old. You can have a business card no matter where you are, and you can get business cards in a variety of ways, in a variety of places. You can go to everywhere from Kinko's to you get them online. Business cards are easy to find. You can create your own, but you want to make sure it looks like a nice professional card. And the key thing about business card is that you want to give one to everybody, and I mean everyone, because your number is no good in your pocket. It's only good in their pocket. Hand them a business card, do a quick piece of magic for them, something they remember, something quick and flashy, and then hand them a card and say, if you ever need me for an event, a party, a show, I'm here for you. Hand them the card, and I'm sure you'll get a call somewhere down the road. Now, you can give out 100 business cards, but the rule of 20s are 20% of people buy 80% of the products, which means that if you give out 100 cards, you may get 20 calls. On 20 calls, you may only get 20% of those. So you may get 4 people basically out of 4 to 5 people, literally out of 100 people calling you that are really considering having you. It's a numbers game, but you know what? The numbers pay off after a while. How to get your first gig. That's important. Okay, your first gig could be your first birthday party. It may be a show at your church. It could be a show at your high school. It may be your first corporate event. It could be something that's as extreme as a trade show. So how do you get your first gig? The best way to get your first gig is through a referral. So let's think about that. To get your first gig, think about referrals. Use everybody around you. And I don't mean them in a bad way. I mean use them as friends. Talk to everybody. Tell them, I'm starting a career in magic. I need to know if you can have anybody you know has friends who want to have a show. Talk to your parents. Talk to your cousins. Talk to your pastors. Talk to people in your schools. Talk to people at your work. Let them know you're doing this sideline or your professional career. Let them all know what you do, and let them know you're available to do magic anytime they want for different events. And then watch what happens. Keep in mind, though, that referral, if you're going to do a gig, you're representing that person. If that person refers you, you're putting pretty much their name on them. So if you don't want to embarrass them, you want to make sure you do the gig and you come back and show them in a good light also. So anytime you get a referral, that person is key. You want to make sure that person either gets a pat in the back, a couple of dollars in their pocket, maybe a free show on that for them sometime down the road. Anything you do to make sure that that person knows you appreciated their efforts to refer you to your new client. Now, on that, every time you get a new client, that new client should refer you to somebody else. That makes sense. It's a constant cycle. One show begets another show. Anytime you get one show, you begin another show. In Las Vegas, where we live, there's an old expression in Las Vegas. In order to work in Las Vegas, you have to be working in Las Vegas. Take a moment to let that sink in, but it means in order to get shows here, people have to actually see you doing shows. So once you get one show, you'll get another show out of it, because each time you're in a show, you're showcasing. You're letting people see what you do. And when people see what you do, they have a chance to want to maybe book you for another gig. The other thing happens at a gig is you get a chance to work out the bugs. You're working in front of a live audience. Never, ever miss the opportunity to work for live people. Whenever someone says, show me some magic, do some magic, don't say, well, I really don't have a chance, or I'm not even worked this out. Just do it. Because remember, the people don't know what you're making a mistake. And if you make a mistake, just keep on going on. The professional keeps on moving on. If you drop a coin, pick it up and go past it, because people don't know that you had a coin palmed in your hand. They don't know the difference. Keep on going on. Real professionals never falter. They move forward and don't stop no matter what. What do you charge? What is your rate? What is your fee? If you're an amateur, obviously you're not going to get a fee. You may get a free entrance to the carnival for something like that, or a free entrance to a dinner. But a fee could be anything that you feel comfortable with. What do you feel comfortable getting paid? I started off at restaurant magic years ago, working $15 an hour making magic. Now there are other fees that I make are up to $10,000 a day. So I mean, it's really what you feel your worth is, okay? What your personal value is of your show, what the demand is, okay? I don't rate my magic on what other magicians charge their fees for. I really don't compare myself to magicians. There are a lot of magicians I know are far better than my magic, much better. And I can name 10 of them just right now that are far better magicians than I am. However, are they a better business person? Do they know how to negotiate a better fee? That's what happens. You have to know how to negotiate a fee. You want to decide to yourself what you want to charge for a show, what the market will bear. What that means is, if you're going to do a Christmas or a corporate party, then you have to look at the company and say to yourself, here's how I do that. I look at something at a corporate party or an event, how much would it cost if they were to take that person to the movies, to a 2-hour movie, and not even a good movie. I'm talking about something that people wouldn't even remember. You've done that all. We've all done that. We've gone to a movie and about a week later we forgot half what the movie was about. What would it cost to go to the movies, have a soda and a popcorn? Now, if people can do that, and it's not memorable, they should be able to pay the same price to see you do magic. Now, let's say that's about $8 to $10 to $15 or $12 per person. Well, let's assume you got 500 people at a party. Let's do the math there. 10 times 5 is what? There you go. So, you want to start doing the math there. If you got 500 people, you want to rate yourself on that. Now, you may want to cut that in half a little bit for your first parties, but, a couple $300, $400 is not unfair or more to have that for a private party, for a corporate event like that. So I kind of read it on about $8 to $10. And if you're first starting out, maybe look at your ticket prices. And what I mean by ticket prices, not you charging a ticket, what you would have to, if this person is coming to you and you charge them a fee, what you charge them to see your show. If you go to their homes and you figure they have 20 people at the party, well, $5 a person, I'll charge them $100, okay? That's reasonable. You do a little bit of magic, they're happy, they walk out of there having a great time. You've made $100 for an hour. That's pretty good money, okay? So I always rate between if you're starting off, between $5 to $7 an hour, or $5 to $7 per person for your event. And as you get more advanced, between $8 to $12 per person. It's a good rate to keep yourself, and it makes it comfortable for you to decide when someone says, well, what do you charge? Well, when someone asks you that, you want to ask a few more questions. And a few more questions would be things like this. Oh, well, how many people are at your event? When is the event? Remember, if the event's during Christmas time, it's going to raise the value, okay? And if the event's during a high peak time of your year, maybe it's a busy season, it's going to raise the value of the event. If they've got 5 people versus 5,000 people, it raises the value, okay? So you have to understand how many people they have. So those are key things. Also, where is it? If it's going to be in a mansion versus at a trailer park. If it's going to be on the beach versus, say, in a concert hall. And that all determines the value of your show. Now, what is a client? Well, a client in most businesses would be just that, a customer. someone purchasing your goods, your services, okay? How do you identify a client? To me, every person in the world is a potential client for you. Every person you see or are in front of is a potential client. If they can afford your show and you know what you base your show on, then they're a client for you. They should have a business card, know what you do. You should also be trying to get their contact information. If you're out somewhere in a business environment, you want to make sure that you get that person's business card too. Always take their business card. In the Japanese culture, you want to make sure you take a business card, look at that business card, and read it in front of them. Because if you just take it and put it in your pocket, it's considered to be rude. So you want to make sure you look at it, mention their name. The one thing people want to hear in the world more than anything else is their own name. If you say their own name a few times, first of all, help you remember that. You can look at the name and say, well, hello, Maxwell. Maxwell, it's so wonderful to meet you, something like that. I hope to call you sometime again. Maxwell's okay if I call you again in the future? Maybe send you some information, Maxwell? You know, you can say it a few times, so long as they hear their own name, they enjoy that, they understand that you really appreciate them as a person. But take their card, put it away, say, I really appreciate having your card, and hopefully I'll send you out some information, or we can work together in the future. So that person may become your next client. If not, you still have the information, maybe down the road, sending out a postcard, another business card, or call them up and say, you know, it's coming up Christmas time. Have you guys thought about having a party? But every person is a potential client for you. That means everybody from your high school teachers, from your college professors, to your college class, to your alumni, to your graduation party, opening of a new car lot, a new sale at a mall. Anything you could think of that even you can't think of, you look around, it becomes potential clients. When you walk through a new store opening, they have a new item they're trying to do this at the shopping mall, at Walmart, they're trying to give away something else or something like that. You can talk to the Walmart manager and say, I can do some magic, draw some people in. Anything you can think of becomes a new client for you. So clients come from all aspects. They don't just come from one demographic, they come from everywhere. This is PenguinMagic.com series on the business of show business, the big B and the small S. My name is Brian Campbell, corporate magician, Brian Campbell, the magic guy, and I'm also a trade show presenter. I want to talk to you a little bit about getting the gigs. And what I mean by that is we talked about gigs earlier in our segments. I'm talking about restaurant gigs in this episode. How to get a restaurant gig. Is there a demand for restaurant magicians? Well, probably not, because they don't really know they need a restaurant magician. However, just a little insight, I worked restaurant magic for 15 plus years, successfully had about three to four gigs every week for 10 straight years, never missed a week's worth of work in 10 years. So there is a demand if you create demand. How do you get the restaurant gig? Well, there's a few books written on restaurant magic. Many you can purchase through Penguin Magic. However, I have to disagree with a lot of these magic books on how to get restaurant magic. A lot of them say go on a busy Friday night, and when the restaurant's going, call the manager over and do a little magic for him and something like that. Let me tell you from experience, if you did that in a major restaurant I worked at, first of all, you'd never see the general manager unless you had a complaint to be made and something like that. Secondly, they wouldn't have time to pay attention to you. And if they did, all they would have is a negative thought in their head about you. They'd be upset and angry that you came in and took away from their time when they're dealing with hundreds of patrons, especially with troubles in the restaurant and something like that. Never. The prime times to go into a restaurant to look for a restaurant gig are Tuesday through Thursday, from 2 in the afternoon to 3 to 4 in the afternoon. That's the prime times. Now, why do I pick those days? First of all, Fridays and Saturdays are the busiest days. Friday afternoons, they have lunches. Friday late afternoon, they have the beginning of dinner. And of course, Friday evenings, they have dinners. Saturdays, the same way. Sundays, they have Sunday brunches. And Sunday afternoons, they have evening dinners also. Too busy. They have their staffing meetings on Monday mornings and something like that. They have their people come in, usually not the time. And they also do ordering then. They have people coming in, they have staffing coming in, they have people delivering food. Not a good time to come to the restaurant. Tuesday through Wednesday, it's a little bit slower. In the afternoons, they usually have a lunchtime from 11:30 to about 1ish or so. After that is when they go on a break, and they usually have a time between that to set up for their evening meals. You have a window of opportunity to speak to somebody in the restaurant. Now, my approach has been the approach I've used for many years. Now, for your younger folks, this may not work, but anybody who's in the 18 to 20-year-old bracket above, this will probably work for you. I typically go to the bar. And when I go to the bar, I don't drink, by the way. Now, I was a Marine for 7 years and a biker. I know I look like I'd be a drinker, but I never have. But I go to the bar and order soda. I always tip nicely. For example, if I cost $2 for a Coke, I'd always make sure I left a nice $1.50, $2 tip or something like that. I'd sit and I'd talk to usually the day bartender. Now, the day bartender, usually most restaurants have a bar or a bartender. Day bartender is a crucial person there. They're the one that usually orders all the liquor, they order most of the stuff for the bar and stuff like that. They're pretty tight with the manager. I'll ask them, do you have entertainment in here? Have you had entertainment in the past? What type of entertainment have you used before? Of course, it's going to start to cue him in his mind, why am I asking these questions? Then, of course, I want to go and dress nicely. And I'd sit there and I'd do a little bit of magic for him. And I'd teach him a magic effect. And what I mean by that, teach him something that you can carry with you, that you can teach with them and give them. This is called the law of reciprocity. Now, it's a big word, but what it means is that if you give somebody a little bit, they're going to give you tenfold back. You give that person one little trick like that, he's going to give you the key to the kingdom. What I mean by that is that if you teach him a trick, show him something he can use to make himself extra tips, to meet a girl, whatever he has to do, he's going to be comfortable with you and want to help you. And how's he going to help you? You ask him this one thing. Well, my name is Brian Campbell, and I do restaurant magic. And I've been looking at this place for quite some time. I've eaten here quite a few times, and I really like to work here. But I really don't know how to talk to your general manager, so maybe you can do an introduction for me? Is that okay? Now, bartenders are typically the type of people, they're gregarious, they're open-minded, they're very personable. They shouldn't have a problem with this. He'll let you know what the general manager is like. And why I do this, when I talk to someone in a restaurant, always talk to the person who has a position to hire you. A regular manager is not going to do that. The front desk person is not going to do that. The host is not going to do that. The only person who's going to have the decision to make that is the general manager or the owner. Try not to deal with anybody else but those people. Those are the only people you want to talk to. If you talk to anybody else but the general manager, you're just wasting your time. Okay? Unless, of course, that person sees you do magic and they want you to come back in. So, once this person makes an introduction, they bring the general manager over, or they may say he's not here today. Say, well, you know, if I come back again, can I use your name? Boom. Next thing you know, you come back to the restaurant. Well, let's assume the general manager is there. He comes over. The bartender's name's Bob. You know, this is my friend Brian. He does a little magic. He wants to talk to you about a few things. Is that okay? Sure. Let them know. Stand up. Properly introduce yourself, shake his hand, make eye contact, and let them know that I'm a restaurant professional magician, and I'd like to come in and show you what I do. And I normally like to come in on a night that's semi-busy, not completely busy, because he won't have a time to focus on you. Maybe a Thursday night, maybe Wednesday night, something that they want to really promote the place. In our last segment, we talked about getting yourself a restaurant gig. Now we're talking about how to keep a restaurant gig. Getting a gig is one thing. It's like getting a girlfriend or boyfriend, but keeping them is another thing. So how do you do that? Well, it's almost like a romance. General managers and managers in restaurants come and change, service change quite a bit. But I've been in restaurants, I've gone through one restaurant through 8 general managers at one restaurant alone, because they chain them, they bring them in, they train them, and they move them on and something like that. So I was pretty much consistent at that restaurant for 5 years. It's a long time at one restaurant. Saw thousands of people at that restaurant over the years. Some people became very good friends. If you build a following of people to come back every single week to see your magic, how would you do that? Well, first of all, be friendly, be outgoing, be engaging. Remember the names. If you're not good with names, you know, first of all, don't say you're not good with names, because that'll imply negatives in your mind, subconscious mind, and you honestly won't become good with names. But some of the best books out there by Harry Lorraine, one of the best magicians out there. He also has fantastic books on memories. Kevin Trudeau has some great books on memory stuff. So one of the things you want to do is learn people's names. When they come in, remember what they wear, what they ate, where they sat. It makes you more personal to them, and they like that. They'll bring their friends back later on. Also, maybe once in a while teach a little magic to them. If they have some kids, you want to show them a little trick they can take home with them, okay? Something simple that they can use, and they'll talk about it later on. Because if the kids are having a good time, obviously the parents are going to have a good time. If it's a couple, do something special for them. Oh, remember last time you were in, you guys had this. Here's something special for you. So if you come with sponge balls one day, next week you show up with another effect. They'll have something even more powerful for these folks to see. So you want to make sure that people come back and see you. You have your standard repertoire of magic you do, but something new each and every week. So that when we come back, they can say, well, I saw that before. No, I have something new for you to see. Let me show you this right here. So for the new guest, stay with your standard magic. For your old guest, give them something new and cutting edge that you just came up with, okay? That doesn't mean just break it out of the box that night. Practice it, know it before you try it. But it also develops your repertoire. Now, I did a party one time in Newport Beach, California, on a corporate party for a major company on a boat, a big yacht out there, a huge yacht. Matter of fact, it was John Wayne's old yacht. It used to be a Navy minesweeper. And I was on the yacht for over 4 hours and never repeated one magic effect. Here I am stuck on this boat. I can't really get away. I've got the same audience over and over again asking me to see different things. So I didn't do thousands of tricks. I just never repeated the trick. So you want to make sure that you have the ability to do that also. Build your repertoire, know your audience. Also, key thing is befriend the staff. Help them make money and save them effort and time at the restaurant. If you're working in a restaurant and it's busy, you want to make sure that you help out quite a bit. If someone's sitting there and you help buffer the wait, or you go up and talk to people in the waiting line so that the hostess doesn't have a big hectic thing going on, and you help her out quite a bit, fine. If you tell your server, hey, do you have a table that's really kind of mean, or they're not really getting the best service right now, or maybe the food's running late, I'll go over and take care of that for you. Also, that comes to another aspect, tipping. Servers see you as another person that's jumping into the tipping pool. Now, servers, on average, most get paid minimum wage, okay, or slightly above that. Now, it's an admirable profession. In Las Vegas, some of the servers out here can make up to $100,000 a year. That's not the case in most parts of the country. However, if a person is working for that, their other income comes from tips. You want to make sure that you're not perceived as someone who's taking that tip from them. Your tip is, if you're working for tips or making tips or getting a tip, it's separate from theirs. So let's assume you go to a table, you approach the table, you do your best set. People love you. They hand you $5, okay, $10, whatever it gives me, $5. Now, what I would do is I'd look at that and tell the server, hey, listen, do me a favor, do you have change for $5? Hand them $1 or $2, okay? It's no sweat up your nose because you'll have another table later on. But that rapport you built with that server will go leaps and bounds to help you later on. It'll help you with the management, help you with building rapport with these people, and it'll make you look like you're a team player. Now, of course, if you get a $1 tip, I would just say, you know what, I appreciate it very much, and I would hand it to the server anyways and say, listen, that's I'll really tip me, but I want you to have it, and say, because it's better to make friends with the server staff and have them like you, enjoy what you do, than of course to go ahead and have them against you, because they're the people going to go back and pretty much talk behind your back if they don't like you. You don't want that. On that, occasionally involve a server. If it's a little slow, involve them in a trick. You may do a card vanish and make a card vanish from a deck and make it appear inside the server's checkbook or something on that level, or do a psychic effect where the server gives away as a lead, for example. They give away as a shell. It could be a bunch of things, but try to involve them occasionally, because when people feel involved, they feel part of the team. When they feel part of the team, they feel like you're part of the team. That's what you want. So make sure you befriend the servers, make sure you please your guests, and have them come back again, and try to remember people's names, okay? I just happen to know the servers' names and try to get a rapport with them and see them later on and ask them if I do something special for them. And if their friends came in, I'd make sure I took care of their friends and did magic for their friends also. So befriend your servers, get to know what they like, involve them in your act, let them know that you're not there to take their money away from them, that you're here to help them make money. One thing you want to let them know is that when people are happy and having a good time at a restaurant, people's inhibitions lower. And when people's inhibitions lower, they're more apt to tip. That means the server makes more money. One of the things I tell people is that I personally do not approach a table with the concept of looking for a tip. If I'm getting paid for the restaurant, the first thing I want to do when I approach the table, let these people know, hey, good evening, my name is Brian Campbell, I'm the house magician here. I'm part of the restaurant team, and don't worry about it, the restaurant takes care of everything, takes care of me. So I just want to let them know that. If they feel that right away, they don't feel like you're reaching into the pocket, taking money away from them. If you really do a good job and they like what you do, they're going to tip you anyways. Don't worry about it. If they don't, it doesn't matter. You're already getting paid. Now, however, if you work at a restaurant where you're working just for tips, we'll talk about that later. But let's say that working in a restaurant that you're actually getting paid for the work. So let's assume you're getting $15, $20, $25 an hour. Now, that's not about average. The average nationwide for a restaurant is anywhere between $15 to $20 to $30 per hour. most of the time you're going to look at about $20 per hour. Okay, so if you're working a restaurant for 2 to 3 hours, expect anywhere between $60 to $100 for the night. Okay, anywhere between, but be happy between $50 to $75 is a good night for magic. So $25 per hour, and on top of it, you make a few tips. You know, you may walk out of there with $100 for the night, maybe a free meal if the restaurant works that way, and that's a pretty good night. You do that 2 nights a week, you're talking about, you know, $200 a week right there, plus your meal. You know, it's $800 a month right there. That's pretty good income for just working part-time. You're not going to make that working most jobs. Add to it, every person you see in front of you, as we talked about in previous episodes, is a potential client. They're all getting your information, you're showcasing in front of them. Restaurant magic is one of your best places to showcase your magic, because people are out there for one reason. They have disposable income. That means they have money to spend. They're not sitting home eating top ramen. They're not at home making macaroni and cheese, which I, by the way, like. But they're not home eating these type of things. They're out at the restaurants. That means they have money to spend. If they have money to spend, they may have money to hire you for a show down the road. And a person who comes in there, comes in with a family, may have the wife that's with them, the husband, the daughter, and so on. The daughter may go to high school. They may have a graduation party coming up. The husband may work for a corporation who has a company party coming up. The wife may be part of a big charity event that needs someone for a fundraiser. Every one of those people come from different aspects and all have people they know also. That 4 or 5 people at one table becomes 100 people out for you if you do your right advertisement, do a great act at that one little table. So that little 5 to 7 minute window you have gives you a chance to get, well, in some cases I've had years worth of work from one table, just from the referrals they had from one table. I've had years, literally years. Prime example, I did restaurant magic one time at Dave & Buster's and did magic for some folks and got me the Anaheim Angels gig, working for the Anaheim Angels, working in the Premier Suites and do magic during the baseball game. I went out and purchased a press kit for myself. I spent close to $7,000 for the press kit. Beautiful 4-color, I mean everything, quotes in there, everything you need. I probably still have, I'd say hundreds of those promo kits. Because all I had to do was work in that restaurant and people see me, and next thing you know, one gig led to another, and I never had to give out any of those press kits because they already saw what I did. So I'm not saying don't get a press kit. What I'm saying to you is that it just, if people see you, they're going to like what you do, and if they like what you do, they're going to tell people about it. And the more they tell people, the more the information gets out. So make sure the guests are happy, make sure you work with the staff, and when it comes to taking tips, my personal opinion is don't solicit them, don't have a little tray saying, oh, by the way, feed the bunny, make sure he's hungry, he likes green things. Don't have anything stupid. Don't have a name tag or a button that says, I accept tips, or anything on that level. And don't do a trick like a bill and lemon where you go, oh, by the way, here's your bill in there. It's all soggy wet. You probably don't want it back. Anything like that. Don't do any of those type of effects because, frankly, it's demeaning to your craft, your art, and to the people you're doing magic for, okay? If they like what they do and what you do, which they probably will, if you're using the magic you get here at Penguin Magic and the stuff you've learned here, they'll like what you do. They'll tip you anyways, okay? Keep in mind that tip, on occasion, make sure you don't have to do it every time, but make sure if you walked away and say you made $100 that night in tips, give a few to your servers you worked with. Let them know you care about them and that you're there not to take money away from them, that you're here to work with them, okay? We're going to talk about how to approach a table. When to approach a table. Well, first things first, let's assume a restaurant holds about, anywhere up to 300 people, okay? So you're working a time frame on average, if you're going to do magic, anywhere between an hour to 3 hours. You don't want to work any more than that. Anything after that pretty much is burnout, okay? 3 hours would probably be a max. That's the estimate I tell people. Try not to work any more than 3 hours at a restaurant. And what I mean by work 3 hours, you're not taking a break. If you have to use the restroom, fine. You want to make sure you have things with you when you have your magic bag. Have some mints with you, some mouthwash, some maybe cologne or perfume or whatever, if you're a lady doing this. Something that, because after a while you're going to walk around, you'll be moving around, you're hectic, you're going to sweat a little bit, have some deodorant in your bag. So you take a break, go to the restroom, wash your hands, make sure you clean up, put some breath mints in, and come back out and do your table. The hostess seats your group. You've identified that you see a new group of people come in. Say you have 4 people, what they call a 4-top. You may have, say, parents, a mom and a dad, and say 2 teenage kids there. So they're sitting at the table, they're waiting for that, they get the menus, they get the water, looking at the menus. Now let me caution you here. Do not approach during this time, okay? I'll explain in one moment why. As soon as they make their order, you can check with your server and have them to give you a tap on the shoulder when they're done with the order. When they're done with the order, there's a lapse. There's a time they're sitting across from each other. Now, of course, some people can have conversation, but the average people have pretty much heard every story they could ever tell each other. That wife has been married to the husband for 20 years, and unless he's got kidnapped over the weekend, she's pretty much heard every story he could ever tell. So they're pretty much going to sit there and just space off and look at the things, or they may ask how school was today, but pretty generic conversation, nothing real detailed, unless, of course, something major happened in their lives. If you notice the conversation is very engaging and very deep, romantic thing, divorce or breakup, something's happening that you notice is happening, do not approach the table at all. Needless to say, not at all during a restaurant. If the people engaging themselves in a deep, romantic, eye-to-eye contact, don't bother. You know, just say, folks, you may want to walk by and say, folks, I'm Brian, I'm the house magician, just want to say hi, hope you're having a great night, and walk away. If they want to see some magic, they'll let you know then. If they want to stay involved in an intimate conversation, then let them do that, okay? So be cautious, be cognizant, the word's cognizant of the people at the table. So let's go back to our foretop. Those folks are sitting there staring off into space. You walk up, introduce yourself. My name's Brian, the house magician. Oh, don't worry about this. This is all in the restaurant. This is nothing out of your pocket. Let them know, to reassure them that you're not paying for anything extra. I don't ever ask people if they want to see magic. Because if you ask someone at a restaurant to see magic, the first thing out of their mouth is, no, we're okay, thank you. Nobody wants to see it because they think it's going to cost them something, okay? So never, ever ask to see a trick. I believe it was Hoffman in the 18th century says a gentleman never offers to do magic. They're only asked to do magic 3 times before they do a magic effect. Well, in this case, you can't have the ability to have someone ask you 3 times, but you don't offer to do it, because if you offer to do it, the natural answer for someone to say is no, because they don't want to feel like they're getting involved in a business proposition here. Never, and I mean never, do a pick a card trick first. Never do anything that a person has to lose their psychological control. When someone comes to a restaurant, now this may be advanced for some of you younger viewers, but maybe folks can explain it a little better than I can. However, when people come to a restaurant, they're in a position of control, a psychological advantage that they have. They're in a position of authority. They tell the server what they want to eat, how they want their meat cooked, what kind of potatoes they like, what kind of drink they want, how many lemons or limes they have. They're in a position of authority. Now, if you come up subconsciously and say, pick a card, you're taking that subconscious control away from them. And immediately, they won't know it why, but for some reason, they won't like you. Trust me, I've done this for years. They won't like you. If you're going to walk up and say you're a magician, then prove you're a magician. Take one of the Vernet pulls that, for example, that Penguin Magic has, and say, could I just do this? Could I borrow one of your napkins? Take it and vanish in your hand. Show it vanishing. When it vanishes right before their eyes, immediately going to get their attention. You don't have to say I'm a magician. That says it right there. You can make a bunch of bills appear magically out of your hand. Make a coin appear magically. Make a drink appear. Pull a napkin off the table, make a drink appear magically. Do something that shows you're a magician first. Show your magic first. Do something quick, flashy, that's going to get the attention. Now, when you do restaurant magic, your set should be set of what I call a set of rules of 3s. Now, Johnny Ace Palmer and other magicians I mentioned before all professionals use what's called the rule of 3s. You want to do 3 effects in a row. 3 effects in a row. You tell a joke, you tell three jokes in a row, tell a story, 3 in a row. So, if you're going to do an effect, you want to have a quick one to follow up and a quick one. Now, by doing 3 in a row, what happens is that if food comes over, or if they don't want to see what you have to do, or there's a fire alarm in the restaurant, at least you can break your setup. You're not doing a complete 50-minute show anymore. You do 3, and then you can, if they really look what you're doing, do another set of 3. If they look what you're doing, do another set of 3. So this way you can stop at any time you want and still give mini little shows. It's much easier. So if you do something to produce a coin, then you make it vanish and make it reappear in a bunch of coins or something like that, it's a set of 3s. And if they like what you do, say, folks, I'd like to do a few things for you if you don't mind, then gradually involve them. Say, by law, every magician has to do a card trick. Now, once they've seen your magic, their inhibitions have lowered a little bit, they've proved yourself a magician, then you can have them pick a card. But if you walk up right away, you're going to lose that person's, right away you're going to lose their trust. You want to build yourself as a magician first of all. Show what you can do. Make something happen right before their eyes. Produce something. Now, I caution you from doing certain effects. I don't do things with fire, for example. I don't do fire wallets. I don't do appearing magic fire effects. I don't do anything with animals. There used to be a famous effect where you produce a goldfish out of midair. That's great, but remember, you're in a restaurant. They have health laws. We'll close that restaurant down like that. You'll be out of a job, all the servers will be out of a job, and all you do is really upset quite a few people, okay, and lose their positions there. Secondly, a firewall might be really great, and it gets a lot of people's attention, and a lot of people espouse using this. However, let's assume they hired a new server that afternoon. They're on the floor, they're carrying a tray full of food, and they're walking up to that table behind you, and they open up that fire wallet, and that fire wallet scares the life out of them, and they drop all the trays onto the next table. Who's the proximate cause? Who's the person that caused it happen? You did. They're not going to fire the server. They're going to fire you. So eliminate those problems. When you do your material, make sure it's nothing that involves stuff that's going to damage the restaurant or damage the patrons or damage the meal and something like that. Keep in mind when you work in a restaurant, you're not the star of the restaurant. The food and the guests are the stars. You're a supplement. You're basically there to service, you're no more and no less than the server is. You're just a guy or a person or a female or woman, I should say, who does really cool stuff and makes the people have a great time at the restaurant, okay? You add to what's called a dining experience. You're creating an overall dining experience for them. If you do anything more than that, and think that your ego is that you're the stupid magic guy there, then you know what? You're going to irk the staff you work with, and people are going to see you like that, and eventually they're not going to want to be around you, okay? Don't let your ego cut checks for you that you can't really cash, okay? So you want to make sure that you know that your place is there is something as a supplement for the restaurant. People didn't come there to see you do magic. Eventually they will, but they come there to eat the food, okay? Otherwise they'd be at your house to watching the magic. So they're there for one reason, for the restaurant. Make sure the restaurant, you never supersede the fact that they're there for one reason, for the food. You're there as a supplement, okay? Now, how you make your living, that's fine. As long as your bank account's happy, this doesn't matter. But make sure you know that, okay? Keep that in mind. So, approaching the table, make sure your magic is quick, flashy, something that's non-interactive. Do about a minute or two worth of that, and then you can gradually involve people in a magic effect. Something as simple as what I do, believe it or not, Invisible Deck works, and you can buy it right at Penguin Magic. Invisible Deck from Penguin Magic is one of the best tricks in the world. A great effect to have. You can do it simple, you can repeat it, you can do it again at the table, you can do it for another table. Another key thing, when you pick a material, think about reset. You don't want to have something that takes for hours or minutes to reset again. You don't want to be cut and restored rope, we make messes and something like that. Heaven forbid you do something, you reach across the hand of cards to somebody, and the mom is a stunning woman and she's wearing a white Angora sweater that she's had for years and it's her favorite sweater. As you reach across the hand to have her pick a card, you knock over her red wine onto her Angora sweater and ruin it. Well, there's a problem there. First of all, it's probably not going to come out of that. I would, before I ever cause a problem, I would have all my magicians when I worked restaurants every single night call me after the gig. And I got calls from New York City all the way to Honolulu to Southern California. Every single night my phone would ring every Friday and Saturday night for hours on end. Because I want to know a problem in the restaurant before the managers knew. If something happened, if one of my guys broke a glass, if they spilled something. If you do something like that, don't run away and hide. Take responsibility for it. Tell that person, ma'am, I'm sorry, I apologize. That's never happened before and so like that. Let me do you a favor. Please take it to the dry cleaners. Here's my card. I'll take care of the dry cleaning bill for you. Now, you may not make a lot of money, but trust me, it'll be a lot better for you in the long run to keep the person's business and to build rapport. She may say, no problem, I was going to throw it away anyways. Who knows? Now, she may go back to the general manager, but the point is, before the manager finds out about it, at least you've taken care of this before the problem even occurs, okay? Maybe they told you, overcome the objection before it occurs, or overcome the problem there before it occurs, okay? Let her know you'll take care of it ahead of time. Worst case scenario, even if you have to buy her a new sweater, do what you have to do to keep that person happy. But you know what? Do what you have to do. If you made a mistake, correct the mistake, okay? I've never had a problem with that because I've done it a few times. I've maybe spilled something by accident or something. You know, it happens. You get bumped, you're doing some magic, you're doing a flourish, have someone pick a card, and the server bumps by accident, and you hit the cards, hit someone's bottle or something like that. Life's full of mistakes, it happens. And that's what it is. And people understand that. But if you blow it up and walk away and don't think anything of it, that mistake is going to come back to bite you. And two things, you're going to lose your job, you'll end up paying out of your salary somehow for this, and then you'll never get that gig again in the future, and you won't get that person's business too. So make sure if there's a problem, you take care of it, and you let the general manager or the manager on duty know right away, this was what happened, but I offered this to take care of it right away. He'll come over and try to appease them, maybe buy them a meal or something on the case, but let them know that you're always responsible. Be responsible. Remember about the ups. Follow up, back up, stand up. You want to have those ups, and this all comes back to these things. There's a few magicians I see out there who walk up and they open up their close-up pad and they do the magic on there. Don't. You're a magician. Just use what you have in front of you. Don't bring a table with you, close-up magic, work out of your pockets, so on. Don't bring a bag with you. Don't stroll from table to table with a bag with you. You don't need that much stuff. You should have what you need on your person. That interferes with the operation of the restaurant. If you have to put down a close-up pad, that means that people have to move their tables, their glasses out of the way, to move their dishes out of the way. You start making people uncomfortable. You lower your tip value. Use the hands at the table. Get people involved. Whenever you do magic, do not focus on just one person at the table. If you've got 4 people should have a part of the magic. If one person picks a card, I'll give you one of my best effects I do. It's called batter up. Basically, it's a pick a card effect. You're forcing someone a card, and basically the card appears on a baseball card you've shown before, okay? But people handle these cards. But what I do is, whether I have 1 person or 20 people, I can take this card trick and turn it into a grand effect. I've done this for trade shows for hundreds of people at a time. And all it is a pick a card trick. One person will have pick a card. I'll have the other person put the card back in the deck. This person will have shuffle the cards up. This person here, I'll have them pick the baseball card. I'll have this person here again put the card back inside with the baseball cards. Then I'll take the cards and spin them out. Now I've involved everybody. Now they don't have a major role in it, but when people get involved in your magic, they remember it because it's happened to them. If it's happened to them, it's real magic. So, and they remember that. So make sure you involve everybody. Just don't do stuff that's right there. Don't do cups and balls and something like that. If you're going to do that, make sure people have something to do. That one person touches the cup, one person makes the ball vanish. Everybody is involved in it. The more people have that unity, the more people part of the group that you're doing, the more they'll want to be around you. One of the things I do when I do restaurants or do any type of magic is I always ask people their names. I also want to find out what do they do, where they're from, these things like that, because people may be visiting. If you work in a tourist environment, for example, New York City, or you work in Miami Beach, or someplace where it's very touristy, find out where folks are from. You may have traveled there. You may have a common bond. You may have a cousin that lives there. You may need a ride there. Develop interest with these people, okay? If the person does, they're an aerospace engineer, you say, well, listen, I've got a great thing that I've done for some scientists before. You may do coins to the table, something that's amazing for them that will really make that scientific brain work for him. She may be a school teacher. Say, really? Well, do you guys do any school gigs or school events that may need my magic? By asking people what they do, not only are you showing interest in them, but you're also doing some investigation work. You're trying to find out how they're possible leads, remember from our previous episodes, they're possible clients for you. By asking what they do, you can find out a little bit about their background. You don't have to know everything about them, but you're engaging them as a person and showing interest in them. If an agent calls you for a gig, and you say you're too busy, you have another gig, one thing. But if you decide you want to go to the movies that night, or you didn't want to take the night off, or you didn't want to work, that agent will do one thing. They'll call you once, they maybe call you twice, but if they call you again and you're not free, they'll never call you again. And I mean never call you again. Unless it's extreme emergencies, they have nobody else. Trust me, if an agent calls you, or a special events person calls you, do it. Antonio Banderas, the actor, is married to Melanie Griffith, famous for many new movies. When he first came to the United States, he didn't speak any English. Just rough, if you would, rough English. His agent said to him, no matter what you say, you need to say this one phrase, and people ask you something. Say, I can do that. No matter what they would ask him, an agent, when they'd go to an audition, they say, well, can you ride a horse? He goes, I can do that. They go, can you shoot a rifle? I can do that. Can you fly a plane? I can do that. Because if you can't do it, they're going to find the person that can do it. So if someone asks you to do a show and you say, well, I can't do it, well, they're going to find someone else. And when they find out of the person, your phone's not going to ring. They're going to find someone else to do it, and they're going to use that person down the road, and down the road, and down the road again, okay? So if someone says, can you do a show? I can do that. That's my personal opinion. If someone asks me if I can produce an elephant, I'm a close-up magician, I sure can. If their budget is right, I can do the show for them. Now, when you talk about fees and stuff like that, we'll cover those later on, negotiating fees. But you want to make sure when you deal with these, agents typically get anywhere between 15 to 20% of your fee. So, if an agent asks you to do a gig, you have one or two options. You can say yes, or you can say no. Now, you can pretty much say for as higher for you, or I could do it for more or less, but I'm going to tell you the way agents are going to work. It's simple. They're going to look for the person that's going to make them the most money. Meaning that if they can hire someone for less money and make themselves more money, they're going to do it. So, if an agent asks you for a gig and you want to take it, then take it. Don't worry about how much money he gets because, frankly, take the money that you need, the money you're going to get for the show, and be happy with what you get, okay? I'm not saying it's going to be for every case, but in this particular situation, that's how agents make a living. They're doing all the footwork, then you know what? Let them do that. You do what you have to do and entertain. On top of that, always follow up. Remember the ups we talked about earlier. Make sure after the show, whether it's 5 minutes after the show or 10 minutes after, you call that agent or call that special events person. Or if in the case may be, if it's a weekend, you call them by the next day or Monday or something like that, and call and say, I want to let you know I've done with the show. I hope everybody was happy and something like that. I'm leaving right now. I want to let you know that everything's taken care of, okay? That way they know that you were there, you took care of what you had to do, and they don't have to sit home worrying about the weekend. Did that guy show up? Or, was he responsible? That's responsibility that you need to have. Remember, you're a professional. Your job is to act that way, okay? Secondly, do never do business on their time. What does that mean? Well, you're already hired. That means you don't hand out your business cards. You don't ask for business cards, okay? Quite a few magicians do that, but that's consummate with you're working at a department store and selling, working at Walmart and selling all the stuff that you bought on sale at Target there. It's not something you do. It's just not good business. It's going to get back to the agent you're doing that, or the special events manager or something like that. It makes them look bad. A best approach would be this. If someone says to you at that corporation or that party says, you can do this ahead of time. If you're working with an agent, for example, you can say to them, do you mind if I give out my business cards during the event? If they say, no, no problem, go ahead. But ask ahead of time. If they say, you know what, I feel uncomfortable with it, you can also say to the agent ahead of time or the special events person, normally when I do events, I don't give out my cards. If you're okay with it, do you mind if I pass out cards if people ask for them, okay? That way, they know you're not trying to steal their business. Because remember, they worked hard to get these leads. They worked hard to make the sale. They worked hard to get these people to get interested in you. They certainly don't want you to come in and go, you know what, let me underbid you and take another job away from you. That's not the way you do business. It's not good, okay? It's not a good relationship builder with these people. You want these people to be happy with you. I ask up front. That's what you do. Let them know. That shows that you're being responsible, showing that you care about their needs, and you're taking care of them ahead of time. You do that, they're going to look at you as someone else that's different. If you're doing a group of people and someone says, oh, you're the greatest thing I've ever seen since sliced bread. You're the best magician I've ever seen in the world. No one's ever better than you. I mean, you're better than that Brian the Magic Guy, Campbell guy. Well, if they say that to you and they say, can I get your card? You say, here's what I can do. I can give you my agent's number or give you my special events manager's number, and you can contact them and maybe they can put you in touch with me in the future. It's better to do business that way. Or you can ask for their card, take their card and give it to the special events manager or your agent and say, listen, if people are interested in what I did, could you give them touch base with them? Make the money for these people also, because now they're going to be happy for you in the future. Do not do things that are going to be adverse to these things. Trust me. I've worked with these people for years, and you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that they're happy, go lucky. Well, we'll talk about the meat of your show business career, negotiating a fee, how to get the money. Well, first of all, if you want to get any fees, you have to ask for it. Quite often, I used to do things with friends all the time. I'd ask them to put their fingers out on the table, and I'd ask them to cut this finger off for $10,000, and of course they say no. Would you cut this one off for $20,000? No. How about this one for $50,000? No. How about all four for $100,000? No. What about all of your fingers for, say, $100,000 for the next 5 years? $500,000, $500,000. No. They won't do that, but they'll sell their brain for $30,000 a year at a company. All their knowledge, all their information. So they don't understand what the value they have is. There's an old expression, once the value exceeds the price, people will buy it. Let that sink in for a moment. Lee Iacocca once said that people will pay any price for economy. Remember, you're paying $30,000 for an economy car. Does that make sense? An economy car. So it's all about negotiation. Now, how do you ask for a fee? Well, that's simple. Decide what you want, what your minimum you'll take, and what you're looking for to take, okay? Now, when I negotiate a fee, I know in my mind what I'm looking for. And how do I do that? First of all, I try to research my clients a little bit. I research the events or the parties. I know what their capabilities of paying are. I know what a small birthday party is going to pay from experience. I know that average kids party is going to pay between $75 to $150 to $250, depending where you are. Nationwide, the best you're going to get for maybe a kid's birthday party is maybe $300 on average, okay, if you do a good party. So that's a kid's party. Corporate event or a restaurant, we'll say restaurants, you can do anywhere between $15 to, well, up to $50 per hour. On average, $25 per hour, okay? And again, these are estimates. These are nationwide averages, okay? A private party, say anywhere from, 10 to a couple, maybe 50 to 75 people. You're talking anywhere between 100 for small parties on up to $300 to $400 on average, okay? Maybe $500 if you have a real good event. This is nationwide. I'm not saying what I asked for, but I get a little more than that. A larger event, anywhere between the $750 range up to the $1,500 range. Trade shows, anywhere between $500 for the day up to, some people I know, $25,000 a day. But on average, we'll say, $1,200, $1,500 per day on average would be an average trade show. Depending on the company size, it could be up to $5,000 a day on average, depending on the company size. So I'm going to do a little mock demonstration with my associate here. I'm going to call them up and ask them for a magician. Ding, I pick up the phone. My magician answers the phone.
Hello?
So I understand you do magic. Is that true?
Yes, I do.
Well, let me ask you this. We're having a party at my house here. I have some friends coming by. I'd like to hire somebody for magic. What do you cost?
Great. Well, how many people will be at the party?
I'm thinking about maybe 75 people.
Okay, and when is the party?
The party's going to be in September.
Okay. Well, my fee normally ranges from $200 to $400, depending on the type of show you'd want.
Well, I just want my guests to be happy. I want to do some magic where I guess they walk around, do some stuff. Or what do you guys call it? Strolling magic?
Yes, absolutely. I do strolling magic.
Okay. What would it cost for that? That between the $200 $400 range, what does that cost?
I could stroll for about 2 hours for $300.
Okay. That sounds good. Can you send me over some paperwork and we can sign the contract on that? Do you do contracts?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I'll do that and I'll get it out. Thanks so much. Nice to talk to you. Well, that's pretty much what your average conversation would have with the average magician. Now, Mr. Magician shows up at that house, which is now in Palos Verdes, California, hanging off the cliff facing the Pacific Ocean. The house is worth $35 million. The party is for Bill Gates. Oh, by the way, they have a band there, and the band in the backyard happens to be the Rolling Stones. You think you could ask for a little more money? The point is, you need to qualify. You need to qualify these people. Not just how long they want the event for, or how many people, but what the event's for. What type of people will be at the event? Is it going to be a lot of male to female ratio? Is it for a corporate party? Is it a special event? Are you celebrating anything special? Do you have other entertainment there? What type of entertainment there? They may have Pavarotti singing there for all you know, okay? They could have some juggler there. They could have everything you want there. But the thing is, you have to know where you are in the food chain. So you may do that and realize when you pull up to the house, it's a multi-mansion and that they spend $200 literally just on fish food for their goldfish, okay? So you don't want to bite yourself in the foot or shoot yourself in the foot, as they say, and put yourself out of the market just because you're hungry for the act. Qualify these people. Learn to do basic sales techniques. Read those books I mentioned to you before. Read everything you can on sales and sales negotiation and realize that these people are like any other sale. You want to learn a little bit about them. Take a few minutes. Find out what they're looking for. Find out how you can make them happy. Would you like me to do something special for you? Oh, it's your wife's birthday. Would you like me to do something magically? Produce a ring for her magically or something magical for her. Add some value to it so you can upsell. Let's talk about what we call nudging or push and pull technique. This push and pull technique is real simple. Let's assume that you realize your client actually will pay more money. You realize they live in this big mansion, they live in this huge place, they work for this, they're the CEO of a major corporation, and you know they'll actually go for more money. So, I say my fee is $500, and they don't hesitate. They go, okay, that's fine, $500 is great. Here's what I would say to that. If they say no problem, $500 is fine, send me the paperwork, let's get this going. You can always add value to that. You can say, well, that's my $500 basic show. But if you want me to produce some rabbits later on or some doves, depending on what you do in your act, if you want me to use animals in the act, let's say you're doing a kids show and the parents want you to come out and they say, well, what do you charge? Say, well, $150. And they go, well, that's fine, $150. Well, that's fine. That's my $150, my basic show, my magic and something like that. I do my 20-minute act and something like that. The kids have a great time. And it's interactive. But if you'd like me to do something with produce a rabbit and the doves, and the kids can play with the rabbits later on, well, that obviously adds a little more to the fee, and it's called actually adding value to the act. And of course, the parent will say, well, how much more is that? Well, that's $50 more. And, well, it's $200. To them, it doesn't matter. The kid's going to be happy. It's one of them going to be 8 years old again. So you can always go up like that by adding more value to it, or saying to them, that's for my basic show. For my premier show or my platinum show, if you'd like to have more, then of course the fee is a little bit higher. And of course you determine what fee is comfortable for you, okay? I'm just giving you some ballparks here. Let's assume it's the other way. You say it's $500, they go, well, that's just way too high, it's not in our budget. Keep in mind the word budget doesn't mean they can't budge, okay? Doesn't mean they can't, it's right there in the word budget. It means they can't budge. A budget is made just like that. It's not solid, not set in stone. They may say something like, well, that's way too much. Or the other guy, we just called, is only charging $100. If they do say $500 is way too much, you go, well, again, that was for my gold act, my platinum act. I can also offer you my silver act, and that's only $400 right there. And they go, well, so that's a little too high for us also. Well, that's our silver act. If you want my bronze act, which is one of my premier acts we can do, I can provide that for $350, but that's probably the lowest I can go. You see, my point is that you can chisel away without losing value for yourself. You can cut back, keeping within a margin, but never losing value, never going below your set level. Let's assume you wanted $350 in the first place. Well, remember, you're not losing out anyways. You're already right where you want to be. So you're not losing out anywhere, but you want to shoot high and be able to retract. Shoot high, and if they accept it, push forward, okay? Ask for a little more in a nice way. If they say to you, $500, oh, that's fine. Well, that's for my bronze act. That's one of my most revered acts. But the acts that we do that people really like the most is probably our silver to our gold act. And if we really want that, and of course you use any term you want, then of course that's going to be our $650 to our $750 bracket. If that's comfortable for you, I promise your guests will be really happy, okay? And then, of course, now they have room to understand. If they take the $500, you're still right where you wanted to be. If they don't, then, and they move ahead, then you're even happier than you were before. I hope you understand what I'm saying. If they don't show any sort of negative reaction to your fee, if they don't go, oh my goodness, and react like that in a negative way, and they go, let's do this thing, then try to push for a little more money. Remember, it can't hurt to ask for a little more. Ask equals get. Remember, I told you that earlier. If they show a negative interest in that amount of money that's way too high, retract and go back to your 3 levels, your 3 different plans that you have to choose from. Remember the rules of 3s. Give them 3 choices, and they're going to take 1 of them. Okay? Give them 10 choices, they're not going to take any. 3 choices, they'll always take 1. On fees, for the last point, you can also do one other thing that's not done very often, but I've done it and use it quite often. You can barter. Now, for young folks out there, bartering is a very old term, but it's been around for hundreds of years. It simply means that you'll trade one service for the other. Let's assume that you want to work at you want to do, as a gym, for example, you want to get gym membership. And the owner of the gym has a company party. Say, well, listen, I'll tell you what I'll do for you. I know you don't have a lot of fee for this right here, but why don't I do my hours show, I'll do my Sterling Magic for your party. produce your engagement ring for your girlfriend magically, and you give me 6 months or a year's worth of membership for the gym. Now to him, it's nothing out of his membership. It doesn't cost him anything because it's just you walking in the door. But you can be anything. You can negotiate for new tires for your car and do a show. Negotiate for a variety of things. I've negotiated a lot of things in my show. I've got a lot of beautiful things in the past. But whenever you do a negotiation, it has to be a win-win for everybody. They have to get what they want, which means the great entertainment, but you have to get what you want, which is some sort of payment. Whether it's financial, exposure as far as a really, something you use in your media kit, or something tangible you can take with you, whether it's a gym membership, a new car, free dinner for a year at the restaurant, whatever the case may be. It has to be a win-win for everybody across the board. Otherwise, it's not a good negotiation for anybody, okay? So that's it. I hope you get some valuable information from this. Feel free to check back with us. My name is Brian Campbell, the Magic Guy for Penguin Magic. Have a great day.
You're unbelievable. You're unbelievable.